we kind of reconnected to who we are. We were very out of character in the first half, and some of that had to do with how well Memphis played and the way they landed the first punch and multiple punches after that. So credit to them. But I just thought our response in a game that doesn't feel attainable in certain parts of it, our response was great.
Chet and J-Dub still just in their third NBA season. For them to be as efficient and, use the term efficient and impactful, both those guys were those things tonight. What did you see from them as they're still even accruing these experiences?
Yeah, Dub, got it going early and had it going in the first two games. Chet, I give a lot of credit to because I think he had 1 point at halftime. He had a very, very quiet, subdued first half, and then the mental toughness to stay in it and deliver the way that he did early in the second half, and then through that third quarter and into the fourth, he had that huge three late. Was really impressive. So, and he did a really good job defensively as well, and on the glass with Edie.
Just a bunch of points. Coach, what did you see in that third quarter that really stands out the most, that really turned things around, going into the fourth with a 10-point deficit all of a sudden? What did you see, looking back on it, that stands out the most about that third quarter?
Just we kind of reconnected to who we are. I thought they were really good early. Some of it was like shot making. They made a lot of threes early, and kind of ones that we'll live with at times. And then we kind of got out of character there in the second quarter. In the first quarter, I just thought, we weren't quite ourselves, dug ourselves a massive hole. And in the third, I just thought we kind of reconnected to who we are. There was great communication on the bench. Even when we were down by 20, we didn't break through the lead very quickly. The guys did a great job, and we stayed very present. We just stacked possessions and trusted the one play at a time thing, and, that shows the power of it. We were back in the game. I think we tied the game with like 7 to go in the fourth, so we were able to close it pretty quickly once we stacked the stops.
Mark, how did Caruso's activity change that game?
He changes every game he's in. I didn't think that was an outlier for Alex. He's like that every night. He's like that in a preseason game. He's constantly engaged in the competition, and the size of the stage or the pressure of the game doesn't impact him at all. He just is. He's playing the next possession. He was all over the place again, per usual, and made some big plays. I mean, he had the driving kick that got us a three down the stretch late. So he's doing it on offense too.
And where does the wherewithal to come from? I mean, you sort of mentioned it, just to be down 29, to be out of character at parts in that first half, to see them nail those threes. Like, where does the wherewithal come from to stay in that and still be able to mount a comeback?
Yeah, I just think, we have a team of guys that feel a responsibility to each other, and, they're going to go down swinging. We could have easily lost that game tonight because of the hole we dug ourselves, but like I said, we're going to get tested a lot of different times, and we've got to be ready to pull together when we do, and that's what I thought we did out of halftime. Like, we were a connected team in the second half of that game in the face of adversity on the road against a team that was playing really well and that was really hungry.
First half tonight, it seemed like their process and decision-making was really, really quick, and the second half, not so much. What do you feel like you guys did to kind of slow them down?
I just thought, yeah, I thought some of it was just like transition. We scored a little more, we got back a little faster. I mean, I hate to oversimplify it, but that's a huge part of playing this team. And we've had them in check through the first two games in that part of the game, and we didn't have them in check in the first half. And then, the pressure in the second half too. We really amped up the pressure. I thought Kaysen did a great job with that. Dort did a great job with that. Alex did a great job. Dub, all those guys were up the floor. Even Chet a couple times there, really made them feel us, and that certainly makes it difficult to start possessions against us when we do that.
Michael Martin, let's talk Thunder. Mark, you've talked over and over throughout your tenure about this being an uncommon group. Youngest one seed in NBA history. You guys have the second largest comeback in playoff history tonight. What is it about this group that makes them so special? And do they still surprise you from time to time? Or is it almost just, I don't want to say expected because it's so much NBA history, but you're not shocked by it?
Yeah, never surprised, always impressed. They just feel an unbelievable responsibility to one another. I think it just comes down to that. They're the epitome of a team. 1 through 18, and I thought tonight, again, we could have lost that game, but coming together the way we did in the second half and standing up together in the face of adversity and in the face of us kind of being out of character in the first half, that kind of builds your muscle even if you don't win the game, because obviously the series wouldn't have ended tonight if we lost. So I just thought we stood up with our backs against the wall tonight. Certainly, again, not surprised, but impressed every time they do it.
Yeah, Coach, in those moments of adversity, like at halftime, what are, like, I guess, what are the vibes like in the locker room? I know you can't say too much, but, like, is it more frustration or is it more optimism, calmness?
This group stays pretty present, We're frustrated. I mean, I think there was a collective frustration. I mean, no one likes being down by 25 at halftime, and that's a good thing. There's an energy to anger. But you got to channel that energy, and we got to channel it together. And I think this group does a great job of just getting our feet back on the ground, understanding what we need to do to try to change the game. And that was on display in the second half.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Mark, you went with the 4 guards with AJ even in the first half, and then you went pretty heavy on that in the second half versus sizing like more traditionally if you'd gone to Aaron or Jay Will or whatever. Like, what's the trigger for you to kind of stay small like that with the guards versus maybe playing more traditionally?
A little bit of, the pressure, trying to get the pressure amped up. That helps. Getting Chet at the 5 is a priority at different times, and, you automatically become smaller at the other spots when we do that. And then we needed to score, and when you're down like that. We needed to score a little bit, and Chet gives you the opportunity to kind of have your cake and eat it too there, because you space the floor more and you get him, in space, and you spread out the defense, but you don't give up a ton on the other end because of his rim protection. So that's the power of having a player that's as dynamic on offense and as stingy on defense as he is. But it's going to be different nights. But obviously, what we had been doing the first 2 games, we were kind of rolling that back early, and that wasn't working tonight. They made adjustments to their rotation, especially to start the second quarter, and so we weren't going to just sit there and watch it happen. We were trying a lot of different things, obviously.
Mark, obviously the officials thought it was worth reviewing, and Ja didn't come back after the play. What was your perspective of that play with Lou and Ja?
I mean, they reviewed it, so trusting their judgment on that, but obviously not. I never want to see anybody get hurt. I hope he's okay. But you want everybody to be at full strength. He's a great competitor. He was playing great. Obviously, that had something to do with the game as well. It would be, wrong of me not to acknowledge that. But I think it was a clean play. I think everybody was just playing hard. It was unfortunate. I hope he's all right.
Anybody else? Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.